You know, they always talk about that deep-rooted calm you get from tilling the same soil your ancestors fought for. It's not exactly calm for me. More like a gritty, no-nonsense contentment that sticks to your bones without needing fancy words to justify it. I'm Jack Harlan, 48 now, ex-Navy SEAL, and the fifth in line to wrangle Eagle Crest Ranch, 3,000 acres of stubborn cattle, endless horizon, and family grit baked into every fence post, right on the edge of Willowbrook, Texas. But one dusty Thursday morning, that all got rattled when this crisp envelope shows up. No sender, just a shiny HOA seal, and my name slapped on it like an accusation. And man, opening it felt like poking a hornet's nest with a short stick. Inside it was all polished politeness from Summit View Community, this upscale suburb that sprouted like weeds 2 years back along my eastern boundary, inviting me to join their Neighborly Harmony initiative, spouting buzzwords like unified aesthetics, shared eco-responsibility, and, get this, integrated land stewardship, basically demanding I let their HOA poke their noses into how I run my ranch because my fields supposedly influence their manicured lawns and fire safety vibes. They even slipped in a sneaky easement proposal, giving them rights to stroll onto my property for assessments on everything from brush clearing to visual appeal, like my cows were suddenly auditioning for a gated paradise. I let out a low chuckle, the kind that tightens your gut more than it lightens the mood, poured a black coffee, and fired back a letter that cut straight. Eagle Crest is family-owned ag land, exempt from your oversight by Texas statute and a century of sweat equity. Cross that wire, and you're trespassing, plain and simple. Cease contact or face the music. Thought that'd shut it down, but nope. 5 days later, I'm greasing a gate hinge when this sleek black SUV rolls up my dirt drive, kicking up gravel like it owns the place. And out steps this woman, Brenda Marjorie Hayes, the newly minted HOA president, decked in a sharp teal suit, oversized shades hiding eyes that probably hadn't seen real dirt since childhood, striding over with that entitled sway like she was inspecting her kingdom. "Mr. Harlan?" she calls out, voice clipped and superior, peering at me over those frames as if I were some relic in a dusty exhibit. I wipe my hands on my jeans, lean casual on the post. Who's inquiring? Her lips curve into a smile that doesn't touch her soul. "Brenda Hayes, Summit View HOA head. I'm sure you got our outreach." "Yeah," and I replied, I say, keeping it level. That twitch in her jaw, priceless. "Well, let's clear the air. Our board just voted to extend our eco-buffer to adjacent lands like yours for fire risks and scenic continuity, up to 150 feet in, actually." I feel that slow burn rising, the one from years of watching outsiders try to rewrite what's yours. "Ma'am, this ranch predates your cul-de-sacs by generations. I'm not in your club, and your votes don't redraw my deeds." She tilts her head, patronizing as hell. "Not yet, but we're all about elevating standards. Think of it as community uplift." Uplift? It hit me then. She wasn't negotiating. She was masking a power play driven by that mix of suburban ego and hidden greed, probably eyeing my land for expansion perks, resenting the raw independence that clashed with her controlled world. I step in closer, voice dropping low. "Your standards stop at my barbed wire. Send anyone over, and you'll learn Texas trespass law the hard way. Lawsuit in one hand, shotgun in the other if need be." Her eyes narrow, nostrils flaring like she'd been slapped. Then she spins on her heel, tires spitting dust as she peels out. Didn't glance back, but I knew this wasn't over. Folks like Brenda don't back down. They just rebrand it as dialogue. It escalated quiet at first. Subtle tracks along my fence, not animal prints but deliberate boot marks. Too neat for my crew. And Miguel, my top hand, mentioned spotting guys in neon vests with gadgets milling near the boundary, figuring they were county inspectors. But my trail cams tell a different tale. 2 HOA-branded goons slipping under the wire mid-morning, measuring and mapping a good half-mile in, like thieves casing a joint. I snag the footage, call the sheriff. Deputy Morales rolls up that evening, watches it twice on my porch, coffee steaming untouched. "Want a file?" he asks. "Not yet, but trace who greenlit this." Turns out they flashed a bogus joint oversight permit from a zoning hack, complete with altered maps carving my eastern 100 acres into their transition zone. Fake as a $3 bill, signed by a retired clerk now sipping margaritas in New Mexico. I storm the county office, slam that forgery down. The clerk, old friend Clara, pulls my real deeds, unchanged since Eisenhower, and mutters, "Someone's cooking books here." That night, I loop in Evelyn Brooks, a grizzled 75-year-old land attorney who'd battled developers from here to hell and back. She remembers me from a cousin's estate tangle, listens to my rundown, and exhales sharp, "Jack, this reeks of title tampering." Brenda's pulling strings from her California days under a different name, Marlene Voss, where she tried rezoning a vineyard for condos, got busted on leaks. Different alias, same scheme, fueled by her hunger for control, maybe resentment from her own uprooted past, seeing ranches like mine as barriers to her progress. By week's end, Evelyn slaps a cease and desist on Summit View, naming Brenda personally, and I bolt up a massive sign, private ranch land, no HOA entry, trespassers prosecuted, cameras rolling. But they didn't stop, pushed harder. And that's when the fire hit, middle of the night, that choking stink of torched wood and fuel yanking me from sleep. I bolt out, shotgun in hand, barefoot across the yard, flames devouring the old calving shed, roaring like vengeance itself. We lose 3 young heifers. Miguel singes his shoulder, hauling gates. Fire crew saves the spread, but the marshal digs up a melted gas can, calls it arson outright. My tower cam? Catches it all. A light SUV with Summit View security markings idling at the fence, shadows slipping over with a bag, flames erupting minutes later. I hand it to Sheriff Dawson, who grunts, "Solid for a probe, but she'll lawyer up fierce." Sure enough, their press blast hits, denying everything, painting me as the aggressive holdout sabotaging green initiatives, driven by Brenda's twisted view that my independence threatened her community's purity, maybe even her secret deals. Then the smears ramp up. Fake social posts of my polluting runoff, photoshopped smoke over their homes, anonymous threats whispering, "Sell out before it's too late." I amp security, floodlights, drones buzzing the perimeter, feeling that inner storm brew, not fear but a fierce protectiveness for what my grandpa bled into, knowing this was war now, her ego clashing with my roots. That's when I flipped the script, called my niece Mia, sharp ex-reporter who'd nuked a factory scandal with just docs and grit. She rolls in, eyes blazing, and we dissect it over kitchen brew. "Counterpunch time," she says, digging under Marlene Voss. Uncovers Napa HOA fraud a decade back, rezoning ploys, shell firms circling my ranch like vultures, all tied to Brenda's web, her motive crystal, a hidden pact with Apex Horizons developers for a spa golf megaproject swallowing my land, her cut fat from flipping annexed acres. We build a dossier. Timelines, leaks from Sophia Reyes, that old whistleblower with untouched emails proving the pattern, and launch eaglecrestruth.com, blasting uncut fire vid, fraud maps, her contradictions. It spreads local like wildfire. Residents revolt, protesting with signs like "End HOA tyranny" at the courthouse. News crews eating it up, showing my sustainable grazing ignored in her hit pieces. Brenda's facade cracks, her activists flop, PR pulls posts, and Sophia drops the bomb. That Apex contract, signed pre-presidency, exposing her greed over any eco-pretense. Court day dawns in Willowbrook's creaky hall. Brenda swans in with slick suits, ignoring me, but Evelyn unleashes. Forged docs, arson proof, Mia's slides mapping her LLC noose, Sophia testifying steady. She renamed after Napa, but it's the same fraud playbook, intimidating holdouts for profit. Brenda erupts, banging the table. This is a witch hunt by a backward rancher scared of modernity. Judge Ellis silences her cold. Then Brenda's own aide cracks, confessing he planted the fuse on her orders. Shame etched deep. She freezes, glare crumbling to dread as cuffs click. Arson, fraud, conspiracy charges stacking like hay bales. Walking out, her eyes lock mine one beat. Pure defeat. Her power grab shattered against my stand. Weeks blur. Brenda's mugshot splashes news. Summit View implodes with resident suits over embezzled fees, her assets seized, me pocketing 1.5 mil restitution to rebuild stronger, solar-fitted shed gleaming, new iron gate arched with Eagle Crest Ranch, since 1928, not your HOA territory. It turns landmark, folks snapping pics, Sheriff Dawson tipping his hat, wrong Texan to mess with. Months on, I testify in Austin, raw recount pushing the Harlan clause, barring HOA overreach without full consent, sparking cheers, handshakes, that quiet vindication sinking in. But here's the linger. Was it just her greed? Or does this expose how communities fracture, where progress masks bullying the steadfast? Makes you wonder if we're all one fence line from similar fights. What do you think? Fair play or overkill? Drop your take below. Share if you've battled an HOA nightmare. Let's hash out justice in the comments because stories like this, they hit home for a reason.